supposed to be our MC for this kind of
Oh,
event.
okay.
So that, and to kind of tell his story.
It sounds like I'm gonna need to cover that.
You will.
Write a
You will.
story about that.
Well, I'm gonna put together, probably next month, I'll start actively putting together, press release,
Okay.
about the band and everything, start building up some interest in the band.
Now just send that to Yatin and then he'll put that in there. And then I'll cover it.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be good with that, so.
Yeah, it should be a fun event.
Okay.
How are you?
Doing all right, how about you?
Recording in progress.
Excited for your trip?
Yes, I am. I gotta get over the accordion festival.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's kind of consuming my life for the
bet
next few weeks.
I bet it is.
Hey, I almost said good morning, but it's not there anymore.
Where am I going? Which one?
Oh, when?
We leave on the 20th. We'll be gone for 3 weeks. Can't wait.
Taking the poor family?
Just Chapman, and then we're gonna meet some friends. We're going 5 days early because we're gonna go to the probably watch where my mom and dad's family were from. And we'll be meeting with some cousins there, and then we're gonna go and meet friends in Zurich. And then we only have no hotels we're staying at, but we have no agendas. Everyone wants to do this.
I just want to recognize your dedication to the planning commission, that you were meeting 3 days after the current meeting, and not before. And that's exactly why it's Neon planning.
Calls being in order at 6 o'clock. Carla, can you do a roll call?
Commissioner Berman,
Here.
Commissioner Moffett,
Here.
Vice Chair Gilardi,
Here.
Chair Long,
Here.
showing Commissioner Sparks is absent.
Thanks. And then next we will do the land acknowledgement. The city of Cotati recognizes that we're on the ancestral lands of the Coastal Miwok, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous people who have been stewarding and maintaining a relationship on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a gesture of respect to the land we are on. And the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any comments or revisions for last meeting's minutes? No? A motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Carla, has there been any changes to the agenda, or Director Hausch? Have there been?
No changes to the agenda, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the commission on any items not listed on the matters at hand or any matters not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission may do so at this time. Any? Would you like to speak? No. Carla, anybody online?
Thank you, Chair Long. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. And Chair Long, that will end a public comment.
Thank you. All right. Matters at hand. Why don't we jump into agenda item 8A, the ADU ordinance update.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, Chair Long and members of the commission. For this item, we are asking you to hold a public hearing and consider making a recommendation to the City Council on a zoning code update related to accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs. Okay, so a little background. So as you know, the state law related to ADUs changes fairly frequently, pretty much on an annual basis. And so we need to make periodic updates to our code to be consistent with state law. Recently, we have also had a review of our code by the staff at the State of California's Housing and Community Development Department. They are sort of the keepers of the interpretation of ADU law and provide implementation assistance and information for the public about ADUs and for jurisdictions. We have a review from HCD staff with a number of comments related to our ADU ordinance, things that they found lacking, which they have asked us to address. And so we have some code updates that we need to make, and we prepared a draft ordinance including those updates. And the relevant code section that we're talking about here is 1742-170. That contains the rules related to ADUs in Cotati. Okay, oops. Getting to know the remote control, sorry. Okay. Okay, so I want to go over the new state law. These are laws that took effect January 1st of this year. The first is AB 1154, and the pertinent part of that law that relates to us is related to JADUs, and that's a junior ADU. It's defined as an ADU that is contained within the footprint of the primary unit on the property and is 500 square feet or less in size. So previously, state law required that there be owner occupancy of either the primary unit or the JADU. That has changed now with AB 1154, and owner occupancy is no longer required unless the JADU has shared bathroom facilities with the primary unit. So that's a code update we need to make. that law also established a minimum rental term for JADUs of 30 days, so no short-term rentals for JADUs. We have actually had that in our code, so we don't need to actually make that change. And that also applies to ADUs here. So, and that is true of the state law as well, had already required a 30-day maximum rental period for ADUs. They just wanted to clarify JADUs as well. SB 9, this is not a code update, it's an implementation update, essentially saying that if a jurisdiction fails to report its newly adopted or updated code section related to ADUs to the HCD, then there is now a penalty, which was not previously the case. And the penalty is that if we don't report our ordinance to the HCD, then it's null and void. So that's the penalty. As far as I can tell, there's not any further penalty. However, that means that our code, if we don't report to the HCD, or if we fail to make corrections to any findings that HCD sends to us that our ordinance is not sufficient or is not consistent, then our code is not in effect, and therefore, everything defaults to the state law, which is generally largely a non-issue because mostly state law is what controls ADU. What's allowed in our code, as you know, is very small. So this is just something that we need to be aware of. We need to make sure that we submit our ordinance and ordinance updates to HCD in a timely fashion within 60 days. Finally, SB 543 made some changes to the code and also to process for reviewing and authorizing ADUs. Previously, the state law referred to gross floor area. They decided that interior living space was better, so we're making that change through this ordinance. The law also exempts JADUs from development impact fees explicitly. Since development impact fees only apply to units of 750 square feet or more, this is not a particularly impactful change, but it's something that we need to clarify in our process for folks who are pursuing JADUs. In addition, the law exempts ADUs and JADUs that are 500 square feet or less from school fees. And finally, the law is clarifying permit review and processing timelines and narrowing those from 30 days to 15 days so that we need to respond to an application with completeness or approval within 15 days. And also clarify an appeals process, which we actually already have. For us, we're pretty fast on our turnaround right now. If we got really busy, then that might become more of a challenge for us. But at this point, a 15-day turnaround is really no problem. Okay, but and again, that's not a code update. That's just something that we need to. It's part of our internal processing.
Can I ask a question about the difference between the gross floor, those two terms?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference? What is the difference?
I don't know. What do you think, Noah?
I think it's related to measuring the size of a building from the inside of the walls or the outside of the walls. I think that's essentially the difference.
Okay, so moving on to the staff review. So as you probably know, the state law has some gaps and holes, areas where there are some areas of the law that are ambiguous and, things are not completely clear. And so jurisdictions have tended to do their very best interpretation of what the law means. And the HCD staff also takes interpretation upon themselves. And so they have reviewed our code, and there are some areas where they disagree with what our interpretation of state law has been, and they've asked us to change our code accordingly. And that is something that we probably need to do. Related to, no denial of an ADU permit due to non-conforming zoning conditions, building code violations, or unpermitted structures on the property. The staff at HCD asked us to specifically state this in our code. This is something that in practice has already been happening due to state-required amnesty for ADUs related to building code violations. This goes a step further to say that any unpermitted structures on the property would also not interfere with an ADU being approved. Again, it's not going to affect what we're doing in practice, but they asked us to specifically state this, that we will not deny such permits in these situations in our code. We also had a reference to zoning standards being applicable to ADUs as long as they weren't in conflict with state ADU law. HCD staff did not like that. They asked us to remove any reference to application of zoning standards to ADUs. So, we're doing that. Also, we have had a requirement that an ADU could not receive a certificate of occupancy before the primary unit on the property. HCD said that no, that actually what state law says is that when the governor declares an emergency in a county due to some sort of disaster, that in that county, any ADU on a property that's been affected where the primary unit was destroyed by that disaster, then in the ADU can receive the certificate of occupancy before the primary unit, which makes great sense in a lot of ways. So we will make that change. That change is in the proposed ordinance. You may recall a couple of years ago, the state law was changed to state that that a front setback could not be imposed on ADU development. And that's all the law said. There was no interpretation associated with what does that actually mean. And so we our implementation has been, and this was actually in the code, last code update, was that if there's any other place on the property besides the front of the house, the front setback, where an ADU could be located, that it needed to be there and not in the front of the primary unit, between the primary unit and the street. And HCD said, no, you can't have that requirement. So we need to remove that from our code. Our understanding is that we do not have to allow an ADU of more than 800 square feet in the front of the primary unit. And so we are proposing that language in the code. What the setback requirement is, what setback could be implemented is not clear. According to HCD, it's 0. So the ADU could be anywhere in the front of the property. We're hoping that most folks probably won't want to do that. There may be some properties where that's totally fine too, though. Based on our interpretation of what the state law says, we have applied size limits on ADUs up to 1,200 square feet maximum, up to 850 feet for a one bedroom, up to, I think it was also 1,100 feet, 1,000 feet for a 2-bedroom on properties that are half acre or less. So I keep saying ADU. HCD has said that those size limitations only apply to detached ADUs on single-family properties and detached ADUs on multifamily properties, but can't be applied to attached ADUs on multifamily properties. So they're interpreting the language very explicitly, and so we are removing, or I think they're interpreting a non-mention of detached ADUs as allowing them to be completely exempt from size limitations. So have that change in the code as well. And then finally, the state law requires that any ADU have at least 2 feet additional height allowed to it to match the roof pitch of the primary unit. And that's what we've been doing in practice. We haven't stated it in our code because we didn't think it was worth restating because it appears in the state code and we're implementing that. But they asked us to include that, and so that's also in the ordinance. Okay, so that is the summary of all of the changes. There's a lot more information in the staff report, and also red line in the staff report showing what the different changes are, specifically the language that are put forth in the draft ordinance. So with that, we have a recommendation for you. The Community Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing and consider adopting a resolution recommending that the City Council adopt an ordinance amending Section 1742-170 of the Municipal Code to conform with state law. And with that, I can answer questions that you may have. I'll try to answer your questions.
Yeah, Autumn, on the attached ADUs, they're also referring to second story?
Yes.
And if it's a 2-story house, can they still put one above that?
An additional unit?
Yeah.
We are allowed to limit the height to 2 stories. So there's either a foot height limit or a 2-story limit. But then but either way, they can still have their additional 2 feet for the roof pitch. So I don't think that we need to allow a 3rd story to accommodate an ADU.
Yeah, I was just curious. It wasn't mentioned in, how their rules are sometimes.
Right. It's not now, but, depending on how they read it and who reads it, they might change their minds.
Yeah. 2, and I guess they're kind of more curiosities. About how many ADUs annually are built in Cotati or are permits issued in Cotati?
I think we built 5 last year. And it is the primary way that the city is building housing over the last 2 years, because we haven't had any of the approved projects that the Planning Commission and Council approved move into construction, other than 902 East Cotati Avenue, which is the new multifamily as you approach the train station on the right side, and that was also included 2 ADUs.
And then I noticed you can sell an ADU separate from the main property, but I'm assuming not a junior ADU, a JADU?
That's correct. Yeah, currently the state law does allow the sale of ADUs, but the JADUs, because they're integrated into the units, they haven't created a provision for that yet.
And would that then look like something like a condo or a multifamily
Yes.
unit? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And do we actually allow sales of ADUs by themselves? Is that something that happens in Cotati?
I don't think it's come up yet, has it? I mean, I think we do. We would.
Well, it's my understanding it's an opt-in program under, I can't remember if it's SB 9 or 11, one of the two. But, so I think we have not opted in. To Commissioner Moffitt's point, the state continues to make changes, and I'm not sure if any of the most recent changes would kind of preempt us and allow ADUs to be sold as kind of like tenants in common, or some of the more creative ways that people split homes like they do in San Francisco. That's very common for kind of a group of people to go in and buy an apartment building that's not actually subdivided, but they carve it up as like shares. We would not be able to stop that from occurring, but we have not opted into the program to allow subdivision of ADUs and separate sale.
from the public? Carla, is there anybody online that would like to comment?
Thank you, Chair Long. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. And Chair Long, no public comment at this time.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, can we get a motion?
Yeah, I move that we pass an ordinance of the City of Cotati City Council of the City of Cotati amending Section 17.42.170 accessory dwelling units, junior accessory dwelling units of the city municipal code to conform with state law.
I'll second.
Thank you. Carla, can we get a vote?
Commissioner Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Moffett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gilardi,
Aye.
Chair Long.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, is Director Scott going to be presenting tonight?
Director Scott can't make it, so I'm going to stand in for him tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Autumn.
Yeah, so we don't have a slide deck for this. It's the next item before the commission is consideration of a letter of support for a grant application for OBAG or One Bay Area grant funding, seeking some grant revenue to support repaving and installation of bicycle and pedestrian facilities along Valparaiso Avenue between Lund Hill and West Sierra Avenue, and repaving of Hellman Lane and installation of Class 3 bike lanes along, as I said, from Hellman from Redwood to, I think, Aaron Street. The application is being brought before, or I'm sorry, the grant application and the letter of support is being brought before the commission as the Bicycle and Pedestrian Oversight Committee for the city. The commission wears that kind of dual role, and so we wanted to bring the grant before the commission to not only inform them that we are seeking funding for this very important project, but also to get a formal letter of support to amend the application when we submit it for funding. We have heard from the commission before over some of the concerns on Valparaiso with the lack of sidewalks, the lack of bicycle infrastructure, so we wanted to highlight that we are prioritizing that effort to get the infrastructure built, also repave the road, and then also do some work over on the other side of town at Hellman. It was one of the streets that was included. Both of those streets were included in the most recent CIP project list, but the funding fell short, and so they were pulled out. So we're putting them essentially into next year's CIP, but also looking for some additional funds to offset that impact. There is a letter that was received from the Bicycle Coalition as an attachment, just to show that we are seeking support from multiple entities. And with that, actually, I think the attachment was a version of a letter that was requested from the Bicycle Coalition as a template for you guys to review. And with that, that concludes staff's presentation, and I will take comments and input back to Mr. Scott for his application.
Thank you, Director House. Do we have any comments from the commission?
I know I was watching the city council meeting last week and was very excited when I heard that this kind of made it through the preliminary process and that it was being funded at the amount requested. Really appreciated being able to read the grant application. It's well written. So just hats off to Director Scott on that. And I'm, excited to be in full support.
Thank you.
I write a lot of grants. This one's pretty.
I noticed in this grant several times that Director Scott says that we have Golden Gate Transit coming through Cotati. Golden Gate Transit does not come through Cotati anymore. The closest we can get to Golden Gate Transit is in Rohnert Park. Otherwise, you take the train to San Rafael and catch Golden Gate Transit. So everywhere that Golden Gate Transit is mentioned needs to be deleted.
Anything? No? How long has that been the case?
I think it just happened at the beginning of the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been the last 6 months. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, no, this is great. I'm excited too. I almost got hit by a car pulling out to come to this meeting because they were flying down Valparaiso. And it's a lot of hidden blind corners on that road. Okay. Do we have to vote on this, or are we just?
I think not a roll call vote, but a affirmation of support would be great. And then we are asking for the chair to sign the letter.
Okay.
Oh, we do have a public comment on
Sorry.
Zoom as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carla.
Okay.
Anybody from the public would like to comment at this time?
Okay.
Anybody online?
Yes, yeah.
All right, thanks for catching that.
All right, Lori, you have the floor.
Hi, I just wanted to confirm what Shelley is saying. Golden Gate Transit was taken out of all routes. 101 was taken out of Cotati because of the mascots program, the coordination, one through the MTC. And so, yeah, she's also correct that the only ones that come through are commute buses from Santa Rosa, and they go to the Rota Park bus pads. So that's as close as we get. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online that wishes to comment?
Chair Long, that will end public comment.
Right. So then we would have somebody make a motion and second, is what you're saying, Director Hausch?
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion?
I move that our Planning Commission Chair, Ryan Long, signs this letter of support in the OBAG 4 nomination.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a vote, Carla?
Commissioner Berman,
Yes.
Commissioner Moffett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Delarty,
Aye.
Chair Long.
Aye. Thank you. Give me 1 second. All right. Agenda item 9, reports by staff.
Yeah, just briefly, I want to highlight that we will be holding a meeting on August 17th with the Planning Commission. So just a heads up, 2 weeks from today, we will be back. We just have one item, but it needs some attention, and so we're on a tighter schedule with it. So we couldn't postpone it to stack it with another item like we try to do. So please be prepared for that. Let me know if you have any conflicts. And then separate from that, that same week, the City Chamber of Commerce has partnered with the Rohnert Park Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber, Asian, and I'm sorry, I know the AAPIC Chamber, and then I think a number of other business organizations to hold a business showcase. And it's going to be at Sonoma Mountain Village on August 19th. So that's Wednesday of that same week. And I just wanted to highlight that, to reference it. It's a great example of a lot of our Chamber of Commerce's working together to try to promote the business community of the whole county, and trying to reflect the needs and kind of businesses out there from all different types of business scale, small scale and large scale. So just wanted to highlight that. There's a lot of information out and available on all of those websites. But if there's any questions, people can reach out to me. But it's a free event. There's going to be food there, all kinds of things for families. And the goal is just to allow these businesses to kind of get their name out to different people that maybe don't know about them. So looks like a good event.
What's it called?
They are calling it the 2026 Business Showcase. So it's free, open to the public, and families are welcome. Supposed to be over 500 people. And lots of chamber member booths with giveaways, food for purchase, raffle prizes, complimentary food samples, and more.
Great, thank you.
That ends the staff presentation.
Okay. Any reports from the commission? No? Nothing? Carla, any information received after the agenda posting?
Yes, we did receive the one letter that was already received by the commission for an item not on the agenda.
Great.
I just had, do we have any more information on the end of the beginning, the building?
So they, I can't remember if I reported out, but they were really struggling with PG&E. Staff wrote a letter on their behalf to try to motivate PG&E to allow them, basically grant a variance to their electricity requirements. They essentially wanted them to relocate where the power came into the building from La Plaza and trench through the entire sidewalk of downtown to move it into the other side. It seems that they have approved a variance to that, allowing the existing connection to be used, which comes in on La Plaza. City staff wrote a letter supporting that. Just last week, they told me that was just approved. So I don't have a schedule as to when they're going to get going again, but that delay does seem to have been resolved.
And then I noticed that new materials have been delivered to the hotel site.
Correct. So they have told us that they intend to restart construction shortly.
Great. Thank you. Okay. No other comments. We will adjourn the meeting at 6:33. Thank you.